I don't fucking want to. I don't want to.
Guess what? We're talking GMK, motherfucker. The best of the Millennium series by far. And I'm being dead serious when I say this. This is my favorite in the Millennium series. Hands down, easy, without a doubt, no questions asked.
Please?
Fine, then I'll just take over and talk about how great GMK is. I mean, I don't care. The video will be on forever. Grimacing Gojira, welcome in, buddy. Welcome in. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, but...
No. Or you know what? I don't fucking care. Do what you gotta do. I mean, it's your life. I mean, I'll watch GMK and talk about it myself. It's not just a bad Godzilla movie that we have to talk about.
What about this one?
Like I said, do what you gotta do. I'll talk about GMK. To me, one of the most... Man dies.
How about this one?
Talks about GMK. No, I'll still talk about GMK. I don't care.
God damn it. I don't want to. I don't like this movie.
I love this movie. And I'm being dead serious when I say this. Because, like, you know, some people don't believe me when I say I like things. They say my tone really throws them off. Not this time. I absolutely love GMK. I think this is one of the best Godzilla movies in the entire franchise. It's my favorite of the Millennium series.
Hello, Jacksonites. And welcome to the first of 3 videos I'm putting out today. And the first of only 2, that are going to have a guest.
Yeah, I'll be there for the Final Wars one. So
Today I'll be discussing one of my least favorite Godzilla movies of the entire franchise. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. Giant monsters all out attack. Holy fuck, does that just roll right off your tongue. So, GMK, as it's also known as, which I will refer to it continuously throughout this video.
You don't need to say the extremely long title.
GMK is an interesting film for me because it kind of mirrors King Kong vs. Godzilla for me. I stated that in my King Kong vs. Godzilla review that when I first saw the movie, I really liked it. And I continued to like it quite a bit for the rest of the... not for the rest, but I continued to like it for quite a few years. Then I let it sit for a while, and then I rewatched it and rewatched it, and it just kept losing value for me every time I rewatched it. GMK is... Really? I just watched that movie again last night. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of fish, guys. Did you see those fish?
They've eaten all the fish.
Wow, look at all those fish. Wowzers.
You smell like the fish. Anyway, so GMK I rented from Blockbuster. It was actually like the 3rd time I ever went to Blockbuster. I rented GMK because I saw the disc and I said to myself, that looks interesting. Let me take that home and check it out. So I did, and when I first saw this movie, I really liked it. I thought it was a very entertaining monster movie. I liked the dark tone of it when I first saw it. And actually, to this day, it's one of the few good things I have to say about this film. And overall, I really, really liked it when I was a kid. And I continued to like it upon subsequent rewatchings of the film for the next few years. And then I let it sit for a while. And then I tried to rewatch it again. And that's when it started to lose me. And upon subsequent rewatchings after that, once again, the movie just kept losing value for me every time I tried to rewatch it. And now it's gotten to this point as well. This is another one of my least favorite Godzilla movies, and is easily my least favorite of the Millennium Godzilla series.
Wow, we are complete opposites right now.
So why don't you tell us your history, Shawnee boy?
Okay, so my history with GMK was back in like the early 2000s, before Final Wars was released. The Sci-Fi Channel would like have the world premiere of like certain Godzilla movies for the first time. Like they did one for Megaguirus. They did one for I think some of the Heisei films, and then they did one for GMK, and the Mechagodzilla Millennium films, and that's where I first saw this one. I had a VHS tape. I hit record on it so I could like go back and watch it. And after like Megaguirus and that, I wasn't really feeling that. I didn't like the design. This one looks more like the classic Godzilla, so I was able to connect with it a little bit more in that sense. And then I saw this one, and there's a lot of cool like monster battles, some nice sleek redesigns. Godzilla's white eyes looked entirely menacing, and this one is one I fell in love with. I can watch this one more than any of the other Millennium films, and then like closely followed by like Final Wars and such. But that's where I initially saw it, was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then obviously afterwards I had to like eventually like fork down some money to get the DVD. But this is one where I go back to quite a bit in the Godzilla series, especially in the Millennium series, which is, I guess I wouldn't say quite rare, because like this one and Final Wars are the ones I really go back to. And once in a while I watch against Mechagodzilla or Tokyo SOS, but really this and Final Wars are my two favorite of the Millennium series, and this one's in my top 5 favorite Godzilla films. But I mean, Godzilla's menacing. The monsters are cool, so on and so forth. Go ahead and get to the plot breakdown of this. I'll save my pros for later on.
Yeah, I can tell this is going to be a pretty contentious video here. Kind of like yesterday, but it's the complete opposite.
It is the complete opposite of yesterday, where he loved 2000, I don't like 2000. And
then we both kind of agree on Megaguirus.
What?
And then we both kind of agree on Megaguirus.
Yeah, not being the best. I still like that one a little bit more than 2000, but I think it's one of the weakest Godzilla movies too. See, that theme is incredible.
There we go. King Ghidorah is a good guy. What a twist. Yep, that's one of my problems with Ghidorah in this movie.
What's a twist? I'm fine with
okay,
it. So one movie.
Huh?
I'm fine with him being like a good guy just one time if it's a one-off thing, just to test it out, kind of like an Elseworlds storyline.
So GMK is a bit of an interesting installment in the franchise, because we have some already established kaiju people working on this movie. But before I get to that, this movie was originally supposed to be a lot different in the fact that it was supposed to have Anguirus, Varan, and Baragon as the monsters that Godzilla fights in this movie. However, Toho decided to clip off their balls and play it safe and include Mothra and King Ghidorah and keep Baragon for some reason, and to try to play it safe to make the movie more marketable. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
but those established people that are working on this, the film's director is Shizuke Kaneko, who is famous for directing the 90s Heisei Gamera trilogy.
One of the most well-liked.
Which I don't like. The special effects are done by Shinji Higuchi, who also did the effects for the Heisei Gamera movies. And the music for this movie is done by Kao Otane, who also did the music for the Heisei Gamera series, as well as the music for Shadow of the Colossus. I'm not a big fan of that game, but it does have a very good score. So I will give credit where credit is due, but I'm just going to say right off the bat, I really, really, really wish that Toho went with the original intent for this movie so badly.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love GMK, I'd have to agree with you. I would have liked to have seen Varan and Anguirus get some time to shine. Because they never did.
Because we haven't seen Varan since 1968, and we haven't seen Anguirus since 1974. There was multiple attempts. To try to get Anguirus in the Heisei series, but for some reason, Toho decided no.
He dies horribly in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla.
He doesn't. He didn't die. He was just defeated. But whatever.
I just thought he died because he got his jaw snapped and he's like, ah, and then it's never seen again.
So during a meeting of the JSDF for the potential return of Godzilla, Admiral Taizo Tachibana briefs cadets about the first attack of Godzilla back in 1954. Sorry. A nuclear submarine is reported missing. However, it is later to be found to have been destroyed by Godzilla, who has since made his return. Tachibana's daughter, Yuri Tachibana. Oh my god. We finally got into this one.
Hey, would you rather have Yuri or Mickey Saigu?
At least Mickey doesn't put herself in danger stupidly.
Yes, she does. She literally pilots Mechagodzilla and Mechagodzilla 2.
She was forced into that.
Well, she still technically did.
She was forced into it. She did not want to do that. So I'll give her a pass on that. Anyway,
Okay.
Let's see. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So Yuri Tachibana films a docudrama with her crew of people at Mount Miyoko. However, a mysterious earthquake suddenly randomly ensues, which actually should not be weird because they're next to a volcano, but whatever. And this earthquake returns later that night that proceeds to bury a biker gang. However, it leaves one trucker surviving who witnesses the monster Baragon tunneling his way through the mountain. And the next day, Yuri is unable to convince her supervisor named Haruki to report the incident to the authorities. And the JSDF attempts to rescue the buried men using what is known as a DO-3 missile, which is essentially something taken from Mazinger Z. It's a drill missile. Oh, Raiju Kaiju is here. He's infamous for this being his favorite Godzilla movie. You may want to run away, Raiju, because I'm going to go full potato on this.
I love the movie.
I know you do. But you're my guest, so you can't leave. Anyway,
I'm trapped here. Like, literally, he has me at gunpoint underneath. Like, his hands are on camera right now.
The surviving trucker tries to explain to the military that what he saw could only be Godzilla. Excuse me. Yuri's friend, Teriyaki Takeda, and I know it's Teruaki, but I'm going to call him Teriyaki for the hell of it, because that's so much funnier. Supports her theory that a monster may have been the cause of the earthquake, and proceeds to give her a book on the guardian monsters. While Mothra attacks a group of teenagers at Lake Ikeda in Kagoshima. What is this, a slasher movie? The JSDF analyzes underwater footage of what appears to be glowing dorsal fins that were seen leaving the destroyed nuclear submarine from before. And the conclusion is drawn that, yes, indeed, the monster is Godzilla. And Yuri interviews Hirotoshi Isayama, who is an elderly man that foretells the return of Godzilla in like a... What was the main chick's name from Guardian of the Universe?
I can't remember.
I can't remember her name. Like that chick from Gamma Guardian of the Universe. Isayama then explains to her the legend of the Guardian monsters being Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah for some reason. And then goes on to tell that they must be awakened before Godzilla destroys Japan. Yuri and her team of idiots...
Nick, before you continue, this movie's technically in canon with Godzilla 1998. I'm surprised they didn't have Zilla be one of the Guardian monsters. How crazy would that have been?
Though this technically means the animated series is also in canon with this series, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That's a good show. Way better than this shit. Anyway,
way better than the movie of Godzilla 1998.
I like both equally.
You know why? Because the movie has your favorite line, which is...
Shut up.
That's a lot of fish.
And I'll eat all the fish. Anyway.
That's a lot of fish.
Yuri and her team of idiots visit the guardian monster's shrine, where there she finds some kind of stone. And then not long after, Baragon makes his appearance and almost smacks into a zipline car. And then after that, Godzilla comes ashore to Magonote and attacks the Bonin Islands, leaving only a few survivors. Yuri returns to try to interview Isayama, however, and discovers that the souls of those who were killed by the Japanese in World War II are embedded within Godzilla and wish to destroy Japan as punishment for people's attempts to forget Japanese wartime atrocities. Now, this actually is something I really like about this movie, because it gives a much more mystical, dark, borderline scary overtones to this movie. To quote Brendan Tenold, it's almost like Godzilla is a ghost in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So a few days later,
the ghost Godzilla.
So a few days later, Godzilla and Baragon do battle in Hakone. However, Godzilla is victorious, easily beats the shit out of Baragon, sadly. And Yuri is injured, but yeah, that too. And Yuri is sadly only injured. I wish he was killed. But when Takeda refuses to take her to Godzilla's location in order to keep her out of danger, Yuri leaves to put herself in danger and put others in danger. Mothra's cocoon is discovered in Lake Akita, and the JSDF dispatched several fighter jets to try to fight Godzilla. However, they are quickly and swiftly wiped out. Tachibana then sets up a defense line in Yokohama, and Mothra and the yet-to-be-grown Ghidorah awaken from their slumbers, and they fly towards Yokohama to fight Godzilla. The JSDF incapacitates Ghidorah and Mothra, however, they fail to stop Godzilla, and Godzilla just totally sweeps them aside without even flinching.
Mm-hmm. This is a badass Godzilla in this movie.
I will give him that, yes. So the furious Godzilla totally wipes out the defense line that the military tries to put up, and later destroys Mothra in one point-blank blast of his atomic ray. Mothra's spirit then merges with Ghidorah and transforms Ghidorah into his full form, quote-unquote, King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah then proceeds to injure Godzilla, and they fight underwater. Tachibana and his colleague join the fight using a Satsuma submarine, and Tachibana attempts to shoot a D3 missile into a wound that Godzilla has on his neck. However, they fail. Yuri and Takeda report the struggle from a bridge that later collapses because of Godzilla's atomic breath. Wouldn't have happened if you didn't put yourself in danger. The shrine stone falls from Teriyaki's pockets and merges with King Ghidorah's head. Yuri and Teriyaki barely survive the fall and swim to the shore while the monsters continue to fight. Godzilla then proceeds to destroy King Ghidorah, unleashing the spirits of the guardian monsters, which sink Godzilla down to the bottom of the ocean. And after entering Godzilla's body through his mouth, Tachibana is able to fire another D3 missile into Godzilla's wound. Godzilla surfaces to confront both Yuri and Takeda, but the DO3 is successful and it bursts out of Godzilla's neck. So Godzilla is able to shoot off his atomic ray, but it rips its way through his wound and tears Godzilla apart from the inside, which causes Godzilla to sink to the depths and disintegrate. And Japan rejoices in their victory against Godzilla, but his disembodied heart is still beating on the ocean floor, leaving us with yet another bullshit cliffhanger ending.
I feel like they should have gone with the follow-up to this movie.
all the Heisei series except the next film and Final War, or not Heisei series, Millennium movies end with um a post or like a bullshit cliffhanger ending, except for Ex Mecha Godzilla and Final Wars. All of them have a bullshit cliffhanger ending.
Destroyer.
Huh?
It feels like they've done this in all the Godzilla. Even if you count 98, they've been doing this since Destroyer. Destroyer had that ending where Baby Godzilla.
2000 didn't have it either. Kind of.
2000, he just blows up the city. 98 had the sequel bait. Megaguirus had the sequel bait. This one had the sequel bait. And then, like, the next movie was its own thing, and then sequel baited for the next film, which then sequel baited for a follow-up. It's like, what the fuck are we doing with the Millennium? Give us a complete film.
Yep. So how about this plot? Well, I will admit that it certainly is very original. It's one of the few good things I have to say about this movie is that the story for this movie, I feel it's very well thought out. It's very well written, and it certainly is original. I still can't say that I like this nearly as much as everyone else does. So with that, we will get into the pros and cons of GMK. Sean, you can go first.
All right, let's start with some of the pros. Godzilla, number one, obviously. I think this design is far superior than most of the Millennium series suits, except for Final Wars. I think the Final Wars suit's a little bit better. Although I do like the head and neck of this Godzilla a bit more. I don't like. Well, I've gone on the last two, like Godzilla reviews, where I said I don't like the Millennium suit very much. But the design looks pretty good. He's very imposing. His atomic breath looks great. I like the way it incorporates scale, because I think it does scaling the best out of the other films, because they're able to implement some, like, you know, some good angle shots, some good composite shots to where they really emphasize the size and scope of Godzilla. We get, like, perspective of the humans a lot more, where, like, for instance, there's the one girl who's in the hospital building. We see the tail come and, like, take down the building, which hasn't really been seen, I feel like, since, you know, like, Godzilla 1954. The original Godzilla, King of the Monsters, when Raymond Burr was in there, and the build, like, you see the tail take out the building, and you see him, like, from its perspective, you know, kind of go down. I don't know if that shot was meant as a tribute or not. It was, like, the story is definitely unique, as opposed to, like I like the mystical element with the guardian monsters. I thought that was kind of a cool twist. The fight scenes, I think the action scenes are a lot better in this one than the previous two. The fight with Baragon's a lot of fun. I like how he, like, tail whips so many. He does, like, he flies, like, super high in the air and, like, whack. I thought that was pretty great. And then he blasts him to bits. The Mothra's redesign looks really cool, I think. It's not necessarily, like, this really fluffy, cute-looking creature. It's definitely a little bit more insect-like, a lot sleeker design, and she has, like, those little spikes that she shoots out, which are pretty cool. And then King Ghidorah, I know some people love him or just want him as just a villain. I think if they just kept this as a one-off, I think that's fine. I think I prefer him as a villain, but it was nice to see things from a little bit of a different point of view. Since, like, this, goodbye, Raiju Kaiju Productions. It was nice to see you. Yeah. But anyways, with King Ghidorah, it was nice to see him try to be a good guy, just in one instance, just to see what it's like. You know, I'm fine with trying new things. If they don't work, then we just don't do them again. I still would have preferred if it was Varan and Anguirus, since they don't really get as much love as they deserve. But I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Mothra, King Ghidorah, I'll see him again. Yeah, so there's that. The musical score is really, really good. I think the music is arguably the best in the Millennium series. Like, that main theme song is like, do, 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 do.
Well, my favorite of the scores for the Millennium series is still Final Wars, but this one is so good.
Yeah, the score is really good in this film. Action sequences are good. The human parts, I can handle Yuri as a lead. I think he's better than, like, the last, whoever the hell the lead was in Megaguirus. I can't even really remember. I just talked about it. So, I mean, I can handle her. She's got her own little, like, kooky, crazy, like, newspaper team. So, in the mystical elements of the Guardians of Monsters, the directing style is pretty good. Like I said, the special effects, for the most part, are much better than the previous two films. Monster designs are cool. Action sequences are good. Music is good. Godzilla's intimidating, menacing. I think my biggest disappointment is just we didn't get a follow-up to GMK. So I think I've listed all that I need to say. The pacing is fine. Like, it doesn't really drag for me.
No.
Yeah, I think
so let's get on to my pros for the film. as we just said, I love the music for this movie. Pro number one is the music. The music is freaking awesome. This is easily my favorite score that Kawatane ever did. One of the few good things I have to say about the Heisei Gamera trilogy is that Kawatane gives a good score in each of those movies. Though I definitely, as much as Gamera 2 is my favorite Gamera movie, that one definitely has my least favorite score. But still, Kawatane gives a freaking awesome score for this movie. The main theme that Sean and I have been humming. I love that theme. I can hum that all fucking day. And not to mention, it matches perfectly with this movie's opening titles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, does it fit so well? And overall, the rest of the music for the rest of the movie, it's really ominous. There's a lot of really good choir and orchestral stuff that just gives us a sense of doom and despair over just Gamera 2 or Godzilla in 1998. Which do you choose? Godzilla in 1998.
You know what? I haven't seen Gamera 2 in a few years, but I think I like that one more. Yeah, I haven't watched the Gamera trilogy in a while. I got to rewatch it. But I'll still take that over Godzilla 1998. Although I will give Godzilla 1998 this. It has a lot of fish.
You're not going to let that go, are you?
It's like I'm not going to let go of the fact that Godzilla's Revenge is still the greatest Godzilla film.
It's not. Anyway, so yeah, I love the music for this movie. Pro number two is that the special effects for this movie are very, very, very well done. The suits, the designs I'll get to in a minute, but they're very well constructed. I do like the redesigns for them. Mothra, yeah, it looks a lot more insect-like, which I do really, really like. She doesn't really come off as a benevolent force of nature in this movie. She comes off kind of malevolent in this film, but I love the purple eyes. I really like the purple eyes. Baragon looks pretty damn good. I prefer this design for Baragon over the 60s version. As much as I love Frankenstein versus Baragon, I do think Baragon looks better in this movie than he did in the Showa series. Though I think Baragon is just a better monster as a whole in the Showa series because at least Baragon has an atomic ray. Whatever. So the special effects are great. The miniatures are very well done. The sets are very well done. The Godzilla suit itself, I'm not as crazy about this Godzilla design as much as I used to be. It's very well constructed, and actually a little bit of trivia, for the longest time, this was the tallest Godzilla suit ever made, at a whopping 7 feet in height. Which is ironic because this is actually a smaller Godzilla at only 60 meters in height. However, that record was broken by the unused Shin Gojira puppet that was apparently 12 feet tall. But
didn't 85 have like a giant Godzilla?
Oh yeah, the Cybot Godzilla wasn't a suit. It was It was an animatronic. But anyway, so the special effects are quite good. There's not much to say about them. They have their flaws, which I will get to momentarily, and also the practical stuff for Ghidorah, they look fine, I guess. It's hard for me to get excited for Ghidorah because I'm not a Ghidorah fan, but they look fine. I actually think my favorite set is the mountain set where Godzilla and Baragon fight. Especially seeing Godzilla punch and rip his way through a mountainside just to get to Baragon. That's an awesome moment. And also the music that plays during that is so freaking cool.
The music elevates this movie.
Huh?
The music really elevates this movie.
Yes.
It's kind of like Jaws, where the music elevates that movie.
Pro number 3 is I like the mythology that's established in this movie, which again, it's a fucking shame that this movie never got a sequel. But I really like the mythology that's established in this movie. It's said in this movie that Ghidorah is actually like like an underdeveloped Orochi, which I do like. It would have been really interesting to see where they could have gone with that. Again, if they just gave this movie a fucking sequel. I do like and like I said earlier, I really like the idea that Godzilla is almost like a ghost in this movie because it kind of gives us a new take on Godzilla, and I really would have loved to see this mythology expanded. Like if this movie was made into a trilogy, I would have liked to see that more than the Heisei Gamera trilogy. And also, in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of elements of the Heisei Gamera trilogy that are pretty prevalent in this movie because it was made by the same guy, and the special effects were done by the same guy too. But I like the mythology that's established in this movie. It gives it a much more mystical, fantastic feel, which I do like. Pro number 4 is the dark tone of this movie. I really do like. I've said that I like the more campy and lighthearted stuff, but I also do like the dark stuff. And I love the dark, gritty tone of this movie because this Godzilla is clearly not a good guy. He is a fucking villain. All he wants to do is just kill, 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 slaughter, massacre, kill, kill. That's all he wants to do.
This is the most evil Godzilla.
Yeah, hands down. This is the most evil Godzilla we've ever seen. And it's really fun to see Godzilla go around and just effortlessly slaughter all of these fuckers. So yeah, I love the dark tone of this movie. It definitely makes it feel a little more unique. And if this movie was executed better in my eyes, I would have really liked this movie's dark tone. And last, pro number 5 is that the monster battles in this movie are fairly entertaining. I wouldn't say they're some of the best because as I'll talk about when I get to the cons, I still do think the monster battles are fairly entertaining. Again, the music really helps to go along with them. I actually think my favorite fight is Gamera versus Baragon, totally. Is Godzilla versus Baragon. Because it's well paced and it doesn't go on way too long like the final one does. That is one issue I have with the final fight, is that it goes on a little too long. That may sound surprising for me because I like long action scenes, but here it just doesn't do it for me. It really does not do it for me with the final fight being as long as it is because it drags. There's multiple false endings, which I always hate in monster fights. Not to mention when Godzilla and Ghidorah are in the water, sometimes it's hard to see what the fuck they're doing. Which is why I will always prefer Godzilla and Ghidorah fighting in broad daylight in the middle of either in the middle of a city or preferably like in the middle of the wilderness. But whatever. But the monster battles are fairly entertaining. They're also pretty violent too. I really like that there's a lot of biting and blood in this movie. So there's a lot of fighting tooth and nail. So I really do like that. Again, it adds to this movie's dark and gritty and violent tone. But with all that said, that's all the pros that I have for this movie. Sean, you have any cons?
I guess, like, going back to the characters, none of them are entirely great. I think the main lead actress is fine, but no, like, real huge standouts in this film. I guess I'd say that's kind of the weakest point. Other than that, maybe a few moments are a little slow, but not too bad. Other than that, I don't really have any cons, other than maybe we never got a follow-up to this film, and then maybe a little bit of Ghidorah's face looks a bit off, but again, they were trying to incorporate more.
They implemented Varen's facial features into Ghidorah's heads.
Yeah, like, I guess other than those three things, that's really my only complaints about the film. Like I said, I'm relatively, like, very positive on this movie, especially for Godzilla, like, Millennium film, so I don't really have too many. I can't really think of any glaring issues off the top of my head, because I really do like this one.
I have 8 cons for this film.
All right, I'm going to take a nap. You go through all 8 of them, and I'll wake up when you're done.
Con number 1 is I think this movie is very unevenly paced. And again, this goes with the human characters, so this one kind of goes in with the first 2 cons. Everything with the humans is boring as shit, but everything with the monsters is fairly entertaining. when the human scenes are happening, I feel like this movie drags like nobody's business. But when the monsters show up, it's actually exciting and it moves along very well. But then they cut to the humans and it brings the pace to a screeching halt. Monster stuff goes on smoothly, screeching halt. And thus then on until the last act of the movie where it's both human and kaiju stuff. So there it's relatively well paced. But I think the first two acts of this movie are terribly paced. And con number two, I'll save my thoughts on one particular character for later, but the human cast are just boring. Like I said in the last movie, um, Megaguirus sets a trend until Final Wars for having boring human characters. These characters are as flat as a plateau for me. General Tachibana is one of my least favorite characters in all of, or not Admiral, excuse me, Admiral Tachibana, played by Ryudo Uzaki, who I swear I've seen him in a couple other movies before. He's as flat can be. He's flatter than General Aso from the Heisei Godzilla series in my eyes. He's almost as flat as Captain Jinguji from Atragon. I shit you not, for me. He just has the same expression on his face the entire movie. He doesn't even show an ounce of concern over his daughter being in danger. In fact, he goes as far to say, "Arrest my daughter, get her the fuck out of here." Which actually, now that I think about it, I probably would say the same too, because just get her the fuck out of here. She's trying to interfere with all this military stuff going on to defeat the monsters that are a viable threat. And all she wants to do is put herself in danger. Somebody, nope. So General Tachibana, or Admiral, excuse me, Admiral Tachibana, I don't like him. I think he's flat and boring as fuck. Teriyaki Takeda, played by Masahiro Kobayashi, he's probably the only human character that's somewhat likable because he's constantly trying to save Yuri's stupid ass. So I sympathize with him for that because he's trying so hard to keep a woman that he likes out of harm's way, but she just keeps saying, "Fuck you, I'm going to do what I want and put myself in danger." Oh boy. So he's okay, I guess. And the rest of the human cast, they're boring. They're flat, their facial expressions are terrible. They just suck. The human cast in this movie fucking sucks. So con number three is that I really don't like the ending for this movie. Not to mention, I don't like seeing Godzilla die, though at least here it's justifiable because he is the legit villain for the movie. So I kind of just say, okay, I'll let this one pass because he just wants to kill.
But then again, we don't know, because if they did a sequel, I feel like his heart's still beating. I feel like maybe his cells will regenerate, kind of like the Gargantuas, or maybe like in Shin Godzilla.
That would have been nice to see too. Like, this ties into another con that I have with the movie, but I really, or actually, I might as well mention it here. It's massive sequel bait, but they never gave us a sequel to this movie. It's frustrating as fuck.
I don't know what happened with that, like with the next movie, because they were doing movies every year. Do they just say, you just made the most successful film in the Millennium series financially and arguably critically? Yeah, I believe this one made the most out of all the films in the Millennium series. It made like 20 million, like, unless you count like at least in Japan, it sold the most tickets.
Well, I don't really know, but yeah, I really wish that they made a follow-up to this movie's ending, because as it stands, it kind of suffers from Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome, where there's so much build-up and there's so much world building in this movie that when you finally watch the ending and then you realize, oh yeah, they didn't follow up on this, I feel cheated out of a good movie. I feel cheated out of a lot of build-up and a lot of world building, and we don't get a payoff for a sequel. In my eyes, that's bullshit. So con number 4, this movie's got some American horror movie cliches, and they stick out like a sore thumb. Specifically, the slasher movie formula that is used with Baragon and Mothra toward the beginning of this movie. And man, do they stick out like a sore thumb. And it also doesn't make sense. It may make sense for Baragon because he was originally an antagonistic monster in the Showa series. But Mothra has never been portrayed as somebody who kills people.
Well, yeah, she kills a lot of people. Look at the original Mothra.
Okay, let me rephrase that. She never killed people unless she was provoked. Here, she just does it willy-nilly.
Well, I mean, they were being assholes on the lake, so Mothra's just like...
Still, yeah, they're being assholes, but they weren't directly...
and robbing shit.
They weren't directly affecting Mothra in any way, shape, or form.
They were annoying her.
Are you just going to defend... Really, the guy who doesn't like Mothra, you're trying to defend Mothra so badly in this movie?
I don't hate Mothra. Like, I just get irritated sometimes where she tries to steal the spotlight in Godzilla's movies.
Which she does in this movie as well.
Well, this one, Godzilla blows her the fuck up, so it's finally... Wait, Godzilla never got the chance to blow her the fuck up.
So yeah, I don't like the horror movie cliches that are used in this movie. I feel like they stick out like a sore thumb, and they further tarnish this movie's reputation for myself.
That's another positive, Nick. Godzilla finally obliterates Mothra completely in this movie.
Con number 5 is I can't let it go. This movie's original script was so much better. I want to see Anguirus and Varen back, damn it.
Yeah, especially Varen, because at least Anguirus appears in Final Wars.
True, but still, just why? Why can't we get the original idea for this movie made into a film? But no, we have to go with Mothra and King Shitdora.
As Vince McMahon would say, it's all about the money.
You've got to have money. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 5. Con number 6. This one kind of goes in with 7, but the monsters in this movie, aside from Godzilla, are so much weaker than in their original counterparts. It's pathetic. Because Godzilla takes out these monsters so easily, and it's pathetic.
That was the director's choice, though. He wanted the monsters to be intentionally weaker than Godzilla.
Why?
I forget the exact... He had a reasoning behind it. What was the exact...
Because to me, it just makes Godzilla... This may sound nuts, but it just makes Godzilla seem too OP. I'm fine with Godzilla defeating all of these monsters, but I want to see these monsters at least put up a decent fight against Godzilla. And here, it's a little too one-sided, and it's really frustrating. And this really goes into my next con with the film, Baragon. Baragon should have been changed to another monster to give Godzilla something else other than a kept shitty idea. I guarantee. Okay, I wouldn't have an issue with Baragon if they kept his atomic breath, his red atomic breath that he had in the Showa series, but they don't. If Baragon
he really depowered his villains in this movie.
Yeah, they're severely depowered, and Baragon gets the worst end of the shaft.
I think he's trying to build Godzilla up so where he fights King Ghidorah, where he just barely loses, because he's trying to build. It's kind of like in wrestling, you feed the heels some kind of weaker opponents, you have them kind of go over until they get up to the final challenge, which is Ghidorah. It's like the 3 stages. First stage is the weakest monster with Baragon, and then the second stage is a little bit stronger monster with Mothra, but still doesn't stand a chance. And then King Ghidorah, who's noticeably weaker than before, is the toughest opponent that Godzilla has to fight. Even then, Godzilla still kicks his ass, and then the monsters kind of perform the fusion type energy spirit bomb or person thingy with Jake from Dragon Ball Z, where they fuse their energy and spirits into King Ghidorah, and then you fight Godzilla. Godzilla still just annihilates everyone. Ghidorah has 3 lives. It's just give up already.
Yep. So Baragon is absolutely terrible in this movie. Again, if they had him keep his atomic breath from the original Showa series, I wouldn't be bitching nearly as much as I do. But they depower him and just make him a melee fighter. and he's boring because of that. So the other monsters are severely depowered. They're much weaker, and they really get the shitty end of the staff in my eyes in this movie. And then we finally come to my biggest problem with this movie, and that is Yuri Tachibana. I'm gonna give myself fucking aneurysm. I can't stand her. I cannot stand Yuri in this movie for the fucking life of me. Because she is the biggest definition of a stupid character in a movie. I've said this before, and I kind of said it earlier in this review, but I said it before in my King Kong Escapes review with Jack Buchanan. I don't like Yuri because she keeps putting herself in danger. She keeps going to where giant monsters are fighting. Both of them are beam spammers. Those beams can go off because they can miss, and they can hit something and do collateral damage. She decides to put herself in areas where collateral damage are to be most likely, specifically in the bridge scene at the end of the movie. And then there's that building where Baragon and Godzilla are fighting right under. And she goes in there, and of course the building gets collapsed, and the debris falls upon Yuri. Hey, Jackie boy.
Hey, Jack. We were going over our pros and cons of the movie. So.
Yeah, I'm talking about Yuri. So she goes into this fucking building, and of course it collapses, and debris falls upon her. So she's hurt there. And when Teriyaki decides to grow a pair of balls and say, "Look, I'm taking your car keys away because I don't want you putting yourself in danger. These monsters are a threat. Stay away from them." Because there's a scene where she says, "Can I have the car keys?" And Teriyaki says, "No, you can't." She says, "Thanks a lot." Then she walks away, pissed off. And I was like, "Are you stupid, bitch? This dude is trying to keep you out of danger. And you are blatantly saying, 'Fuck you, I want to put myself in danger.' Your own father tries to arrest you for your own good, to keep you out of danger, and yet you slip your restraints and you go inside the bridge above Godzilla and Ghidorah anyway, causing Teriyaki to give chase and run after you. Both of you nearly die, and it's all your fault. Are you fucking stupid, bitch?" I can't stand Yuri in this movie. She is a complete fucking idiot, and she makes Susan Watson from King Kong Escapes seem tolerable, even though she's a big fucking idiot there, too.
Kong, put me down, Kong! Kong! No, Kong! No! Put me down, Kong! 11 p.m. I don't know, Big Jack. I'd like to, but I gotta work the next morning.
What's 11 p.m. tonight?
Oh, he was talking about a possible live stream.
Oh. So yeah, I don't like this movie. It's one of my least favorite Godzilla movies. Sean, what do you rate it?
Ooh, in terms of Godzilla movies, it's very tough for me to like. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. I think I gave King Ghidorah like an 8.5 out of 10. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah an 8.5. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. I think it's really solid, but there's other moments in Godzilla series where I may like them more. But this is my favorite of the 1M series. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
My rating of this movie is a 4.5 out of 10.
Wow!
I was gonna give it a 5, but I'm not feeling it. Sorry. 4.5 out of 10. It's one of my least favorite Godzilla movies of all time. Easily, in my opinion, the weakest of the Millennium series. In many ways, Megaguirus is worse, and this movie is a big improvement over Megaguirus. Objectively, I will give it that. But on a personal level, I do enjoy Megaguirus more. This movie just really doesn't do it for me. So, Shawnee Boy, anything to pimp out?
You guys can check out my channel, youtube.com/jcheeserborn. I've listed several comments, so you can find me there. You know, hit the sub button if you haven't already. I got some more content coming up. I did a few other live stream related content, and the last video I did was I did a comic book review, so I'm going to start trying to pump out some more comic book stuff, and then I'm working on my Halloween Resurrection review, and then moving on to the Rob Zombie ones after that. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on.
Aren't you joining me for Resurrection when I do the Halloween movies?
Yes. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And yes, Jacksonites, I just gave you my spoiler for my plans in October.
Ooh, the Halloween series.
So,
too bad he's not tough enough to do Halloween 3.
No, it's not that I'm not tough enough to do it. I just don't want to.
I don't want to. I don't want to do it. Halloween 3 is it's easy. It's like you spend 10 minutes talking about it.
I don't care. It's 10 minutes that are not worth of my time. So anyway.
Happy Halloween.
Shut up.
Halloween. Happy
Shut
Halloween.
Up.
Silver Shamrock.
So anyway, look forward to a little while later when I do a double feature of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 3 and Godzilla Tokyo SOS later on today as a double bill. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. And as always, go out and...
Oh, wait, Nick. What time? What time, Nick? What time?
I'd say in about an hour or so.
Hour or so. Yeah, I'm going to join for the Final Wars one. So I probably won't.
Unless Jackie Boy wants to join me for those.
Yeah. Who?
So anyway, go out and try to save a dumbass bitch from putting herself in danger where there's giant monsters destroying shit. And I will see you guys in the next video.